This evening, GNBS destroyed over 5,000 pieces of faulty electrical fittings. Captain Saigon Hopkinson's mother presents evidence suggesting her son died of suffocation. An East Bank mother of two is terrified for her safety after fleeing an abusive relationship. In the region, Brazil hunger crisis, inflation triples cost of essentials, and internationally, a good day for Europe. EU grants Ukraine candidate status. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. More than 5,000 pieces of substandard electrical fittings confiscated from the businesses in May and June of 2022 were destroyed by inspectors from the Ghana National Bureau of Standards Product Compliance Department on Friday, June 24th. The low-quality and incorrectly labeled goods were found and seized during the continuing nationwide surveillance operations to purge the market of goods tracked by GNBS that do not comply with the corresponding national standards. Many of the seized items were held for the stipulated 21 days period as GNBS awaited submission of test certificates by importers and dealers attesting to their quality. These stakeholders failed to submit valid test certificates, which prompted the destruction and disposal of the products. The destroyed items include extension cords, lamp holders, receptacles, power strips, cables, electrical breakers, and plugs. The monitoring of products by the GNBS through inspections at the ports of entry and sale outlets remain crucial to ensure user safety and value for money. The Bureau will continue to aggressively monitor the 17 categories of products falling under its purview to ensure adherence to quality and labeling requirements. Importers and dealers are urged to understand and adhere to the requirements for products imported and offered for sale to ensure compliance and consumers' safety. The mother of the boat captain, who was discovered dead in his boat's fuel tank, has presented evidence to the Ghana Police Force, which family members of the captain calls into question how the skipper died, as the Sobers explains.
The death of boat Captain Saigon Hopkinson has left his family members seeking a thorough investigation by the Ghana Police Force after it was reported that Hopkinson died due to suffocation. The 28-year-old boat captain, who hails from Bartica, was found dead in the fuel tank of his boat on June 6, 2022 at Adventure on Essequibo Coast. Hopkinson was working as a fuel delivery driver for a well-known gas station on the Essequibo Coast at the time of his death. According to police, Hopkinson and two other sailors departed Bartica soon after midnight in a 45-foot metal boat propelled by 360 horsepower engine to collect fuel for the employer at Adventure Essequibo Coast. According to the men who worked with Hopkinson, they arrived at Adventure at about 5:30 hours and claimed that they both went into the boat cabin to rest since they had to wait for the boat to be loaded, leaving the now dead man on the boat's deck. According to reports, a family member of Hopkinson revealed marks on the man's abdomen, his forehead, and his lower and upper arm, and as such they believe that the man did not go into the tank and suffocate. Headline News contacted the commander for Region 2, Manny Bacchus, for initial comment. He noted that it is an active police investigation and that they are reviewing materials brought to them by the victim's mother. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Massive upgrades will soon begin on the Aubrey Barker Road in South Rhinefeldt Garden, Georgetown, to the tune of $80 million. Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgehill made this announcement during an engagement with residents at the South Rhinefeldt Secondary School on Thursday. The minister explained that while the road falls under the Georgetown City Council, it will now be treated as the main road, which is upgraded and maintained by the government. In the 2020 budget, monies were allocated to address drainage and other infrastructural development in South Georgetown. While several works are already ongoing, South is prone to heavy flooding due to improper drainage system. The Minister of Public Works said he is committed to ensuring that this issue is resolved. He also noted that an engineering solution is in its design stage and once completed, it will be implemented. This, he informed the residents, will be the multi-billion-dollar operation. Additionally, a maintenance contractor will be hired in South Rhinefeldt to conduct remedial works on roads in the area until drainage is properly secured and other roads are constructed. Also, during the meeting, several issues were raised by residents. They were assured that the government is committed to providing opportunities for better development. Stick around after the break. Ministry of Public Works announced an $8 million investment in emergency infrastructure for Upper Demerara Berbice flood-affected district, and a woman terrified for her safety after fleeing an abusive relationship. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
At John Lewis Styles, we carry only first quality, men's and women's clothing, footwear, and accessories. As authorized dealers, our items come directly from the manufacturing brands, and are available in all sizes and colors. What we sell was never on display in another store. It's time you know the truth about what you buy. Come visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
They say that when it hits you, it hits you. A feeling so strong that it's impossible not to give in to a juicy piece of KFC. To feel elevated by the aroma and to free fall into its exciting flavor. Some call it love, attraction, desire. We call it KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Head to Clarence for a must-see Father's Day sale on Friday the 17th and Saturday the 18th of June. Get 15 to 50% off all items for your dad. On sale will be men's pants, shirts, jackets, jerseys, Puma and Nike sneakers, 5% off Morel slippers, perfumes. Also available ties, belts, briefs, and boxers, as well as your favorite brands in men's shoes, polo jerseys, sneakers, and short sleeve shirts with matching Dockers pants. Get it all at Clarence on Friday the 17th and Saturday the 18th of June. Happy Father's Day from Clarence, always keeping you in style.
Welcome back. Residents of Spikeland Region 10, Upper Demerara, Berbice are set to benefit from $8 million in emergency infrastructure work by the Ministry of Public Works. The announcement was made during an outreach to the region on Thursday as part of the government's intervention to provide relief to citizens in flood-affected areas. Minister Bishop Juan Edgehill explained that the procurement for emergency works identified would be advertised and open to bids on Tuesday, June 28th. The ministry is limiting the bidding process to contractors of the region only. This is important to further boost economic development there. After the tendering process is completed, works will commence immediately with a scheduled date of no later than July 2nd. One of the key components of the emergency works is reverent works on the Karakar Creek shoulders using geotextile materials and boulders to align the shoulders of the creek with the roads. This design is extended to reduce the impact of flooding and preserve roadways. Further, drains will be constructed to facilitate faster drainage of water from the roadways into the creek. The minister noted that while the government has made a significant intervention on the coastland to mitigate the impact of flooding, in the hinterland regions, climate change is affecting those as well. As an immediate intervention, residents in flood-affected areas such as Spikeland, Rockstone, Kokwani, and Leversville will be provided with hamper supplies by the CDC in collaboration with the Regional Disaster Committee. An East Bank of Demerara woman is seeking the intervention of the appropriate authorities because she has been living in fear of her ex-lover since fleeing from an alleged abusive relationship. Esther Sobers explains.
A 28-year-old woman is now fearful for her life after she ended 2.5 years of an abusive relationship. Victoria Rajaram, a mother of two, is now living in fear and asking for authorities to intervene on her behalf because her ex-boyfriend is stalking and abusing her. Ramjaran said she ended her relationship with her 32-year-old lover close to a year after he constantly abused her. She said the accused begged her for another chance, but she reportedly informed him that he was given countless opportunities and refused to change. The man has since refused to accept her decision and threatened her about moving on. Ramjaran claims that the man has since begun stalking her and is showing up at her East Bank Demerara home at nights. She believes he is watching her every move. The woman further says that a short while ago, she was at home in the yard with her relative. Upon leaving to enter her house, she was attacked by the accused who was armed with a chopper. The woman said he attempted to hack her to death, but she managed to escape and raise an alarm. Her relative then ran to her rescue and one of her brothers was shot before the man escaped. The fearful woman said he was arrested but released on station bail.
Note that we haven't even got a court date for this matter where he was gonna chop me up. We haven't even went to court for this matter. The police then released it after 72 hours. They told me they would have called me to tell me when to go to court, and they never did up to now. And I would really, really, really like somebody to look into this because, you know, he's not going to finish a piece of paper like a restraining order, or locking him up for just a couple hours is not going to do him anything. I need to see him behind bars so that I can be at ease. I just really, really need somebody to look into this because I don't want to move away from my home because of some man. I don't want to have to, flee the country because of him. And then, he's going to attack other women. I would like for him to pay for what, everything he's been putting me through.
The woman who is scared for her life is pleading with authorities to look into the matter urgently. She said she filed several reports at the Timiri police station. If you or anyone you know is affected by domestic violence, call the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security Domestic Violence Hotline at 914. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away after the break. A good day for Europe. EU grants Ukraine candidate status and BRICS summit. Chinese and Russian presidents criticize West.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Brazil is one of the world's major agricultural producers and exporters, but it is also facing a hunger crisis worse than any in recent history. Al Jazeera's Monica Yannick reports.
Lines of hungry people waiting for a meal have doubled in Brazil during the past 2 years. 33 million people can barely eat in a country that produces enough food to feed 1/10 of the world's population. Alessandra Pereira, mother of 5 and unemployed, is one of them. She lost her job at a gas station during the COVID-19 pandemic, but could rely on government handouts.
Now the handouts and donations have dwindled, and inflation has doubled the price of staple food products like rice.
In Rio de Janeiro, one of Brazil's richest cities, the crisis is visible. During the first 5 months of this year, the number of people qualifying for government help to feed their families has increased by 100% compared to the same period in 2021.
It's the worst backlash in 3 decades. When Brazil first started its campaign to fight hunger, we're now back on the United Nations hunger map, which we had managed to leave in 2014. That's why Rio's government is planning to open 55 new soup kitchens this year.
This soup kitchen will be handing out 200 meals every day. Pereira is one of the lucky ones. Another 100 families have applied for aid, but there aren't enough resources. Recovered addict Carlos Fonte works as a chef in a restaurant in the Babilônia slum. His only son was killed in a shootout with the police.
I found a way to cure my sorrow. With the help of people from our neighborhood, we have reached out for donations and are cooking meals for those who are facing a much worse situation than we are.
The situation is so serious in Brazil that experts are comparing hunger in Latin America's largest economy to that of some of the world's poorest countries.
Food insecurity in Brazil has increased 4 times more than the average global rate. The pandemic, the rise in fuel prices, and record inflation of more than 11% a year are a part of the problem. But that doesn't explain why Brazil's doing so badly, despite being a major agricultural producer and exporter.
Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro, who is up for re-election in October, is pushing to increase government handouts until the end of the year. Meanwhile, the poor from the Babilônia slum in Rio are helping the poorest with their prayers and by sharing what little they have. Monica Yannick of Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.
Internationally, Ukraine has taken a major step towards membership of the European Union after EU states voted to give Kyiv candidate status. It is the first step in what can be a years-long process, but it sends a strong message to Russia. Al Jazeera's Natasha Bushler reports.
Just days after Russia began its invasion of Ukraine, Kyiv applied to join the European Union. 4 months later, EU leaders at a summit in Brussels approved the request and put Ukraine on the path to future membership.
We have decided to grant candidate status to Ukraine and Moldova, and we are ready to grant candidate status to Georgia once priorities will be addressed.
There can be no better sign of hope for the citizens of Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia in these troubled times.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky called the EU's decision a unique and historical moment in relations.
We have just received the European Union candidacy. This is a victory. We've been waiting for this for 120 days of the war and even 30 years of our independence.
It usually takes years for a country to gain candidate status after applying. Some EU officials said fast-tracking the process would prove the bloc's solidarity with Ukraine as it defends itself against Russian attacks. A sentiment echoed by the head of Ukraine's mission to the EU at a gathering in the city.
It's important for the whole country, for the whole society, and it's important also for the Ukrainian army to have a clear reason what we are fighting for. We are fighting for the future. We are fighting for the modern, independent, sovereign European country.
Becoming a candidate country is only a step to be granted. Membership is a long and arduous process that could take many years. Some Western Balkan countries have been waiting for more than a decade for progress on their EU bids. Leaders from the region were also in Brussels to urge EU officials to speed up the process. North Macedonia, Albania, Serbia and Montenegro are all candidate countries that want to achieve full membership.
We definitely support the candidacy status for Ukraine. We also support the candidacy status for Moldova. We are very thrilled that Georgia is also being given a European perspective. But we also ask our European partners not to forget about or leave the Western Balkans behind.
The EU's approval of Kyiv's candidacy sends a strong message not only to Ukraine but also to Russia that despite Moscow's firepower and efforts, Kyiv is determined to look west. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Brussels.
And finally, the war in Ukraine was high on the agenda of this week's BRICS meeting. The host, Chinese President Xi Jinping, criticized what he described as the abuse of international sanctions. Al Jazeera's Katrina Yu reports.
Smiling to camera, the leaders of the BRICS nations met virtually on Thursday, affirming a bloc which some have described as an alternative to the G7. Representing China, Brazil, South Africa, India and Russia, the nations account for more than 40% of the world's population and nearly a quarter of global GDP. The response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine was front and center, with host Chinese President Xi Jinping opening the gathering by criticizing US-led sanctions.
We urge the world to reject the Cold War mentality and block confrontation, oppose unilateral sanctions and abuse of sanctions, and reject the small circles built around hegemonism.
At a BRICS business forum, he accused NATO of antagonizing Russia and said sanctions had turned the global economy into a weapon. The comments were echoed by Vladimir Putin, who made his first major diplomatic appearance since Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Only based on honest and mutually beneficial cooperation can we find a solution to the crisis situation in world economy because of the ill-conceived, egotistical actions of particular countries.
Putin said Russia had recently increased trade with BRICS partners, none of whom have supported sanctions against Moscow. China and India are key importers of Russian energy. Indian leader Narendra Modi, however, steered clear of mentioning sanctions. As a US ally, New Delhi is refusing to pick a side.
We do not believe that fora such as the BRICS should become platforms
for these kind of geopolitical contestations. As I said, we see the value of the BRICS summit taking place at this time precisely in enabling us to slow down, if not fully prevent, what seems to be a kind of an incipient polarization in geopolitics. The West on the one side and China and Russia on the other side.
In a joint declaration, the leaders called for more dialogue between Russia and Ukraine and pledged to deepen cooperation in fighting COVID-19, counter-terrorism, and economic recovery. China has proposed a free trade bloc among the 5 countries, and the group is discussing whether to admit new members. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now to 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Join us again on Monday when we bring you another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.